pleasant morning to each and everyone. My name is Joel Solano and I will be reporter for today. My topic is all about social movement. Imagine a world where silence equals acceptance. But what happens when silence becomes the loudest form of injustice? Drive into the world of social movements where voices rise to change the status and reshape the society. What is social movement? Social movements is a unified drive of individuals seeking to improve society by challenging injustices or supporting important causes through organized activities and public involvement. Now that we know the meaning of social movement, now we have theory about social movements by David Arbel's typology. Berle's model classified movements based on the scope of change, limited versus radical. And the target of change is individual versus the society, providing a fundamental framework. Now let's go to the exciting part of my report, the types of social movements. First is the reform movements. What is reform movements? Movements that seek to make specific changes in laws, policies, or government practices without overthrowing the entire political system. What is the purpose of reform movements? Improve society by introducing reforms and correcting injustices. We have example in Philippines, the anti-pork barno movements in 2013, where citizens gathered to demand transparency and accountability in the use of government funds. And second, the revolutionary movements. Movements that aim to completely transform or replace the current political, economic, or social order. The purpose is to create a new system or radically restructure the society. Philippine example is the EDSA People Power Revolution 1 in 1986, a peaceful revolution that ended the Marcos dictatorship and restored the democracy. EDSA People Power Revolution 2 in 2001. Mass protests that removed the President Joseph Estrada due to corruption and abuse of power. And third, the resistant movements. Movements that oppose certain government actions, policies, or programs that people view as harmful or unjust. The purpose of this is to defend the rights, freedom, or community welfare by resisting government operation or abuse. The Philippine example is the anti-martial law protests in 1970s, 1980s, where students, workers, and civil society groups resisted dictatorship and human rights violations under the Ferdinand Marcos Sr. And fourth, the advocacy and identity movements. Movements that promote rights recognition or social awareness for specific groups or causes. The purpose of this is to raise awareness and push for equality and representation. The Philippine example is the Gabriela Women's Government, Fight for Women's Rights and Gender Equality, LGBTQ+, Pride Month, promotes equality and acceptance of the LGBTQ+ community. And next, the labor and peasant. Movements led by workers and farmers to demand better working conditions, fair wages, and land distribution. The purpose of this is to protect the rights of workers and promotes agrarian reform. The Philippine example is the Kilusang Mayo 1 KMU, Organized Labor Day, realized to push for wage increases and workers' welfare. Kilusang Mangbubukid ng Pilipinas, KMP, campaign or genuine land reform for the farmers of the Philippines. And lastly, on our type of social movement is the youth and student movements. Movements led by people, especially students, to voice their concerns on education, freedom, environment, and national issues. Purpose of this is to empower the youth to take part in shaping society and governance. The Philippine example is the first quarter storm in 1970, where students held massive protests against the corruption and foreign domination. Modern climate strikes led by Filipino youth calling for urgent climate actionable. Now let's move on the positive impact of social movement. This is the political change. Social movements have led to major political transition. Example, the EDSA power revolutions ended by Marcos' dictatorship and restored democracy. Second, the policy reforms. They pursue the government to pass or change the laws. Example, the anti-pork barrel protest in 2013 led to the Supreme Court declaring the PDAF unconditional. And third, the public awareness. Social movements educate citizens about issues like corruption, human rights, and environment protection. Example, the climate strikes led by the youth raise awareness of global warming. And lastly, the strengthen democracy. They give ordinary people a chance to participate in governance and decision making. Example, the Labor Day rallies show workers exercising their democratic rights as a person. Now that we know the positive impact of social movement, let's move on the negative impact of social movements. First is the description in daily life. Rallies can cause heavy traffic, noise, and disturbance. Example, the EDSA protests paralyzed transportation for days. Second, the risk of violence. Some protests face violent dispersals, clashes, or areas. Example, the student protests during the martial law were met when military crackdown. Third, political instability. Continuous protests can weaken confidence in government and create uncertainty. Example, the EDSA 2 caused suddenly change in leadership. And lastly, in the negative impact, is the possibility of manipulation. Some movements are influenced by political elites or groups with hidden agents. Yeah. And now that we are done, let's move on our conclusion on our social movements. Now that we know the positive impact and the negative impact of social movement, let's move on to our conclusion. They can bring positive impacts such as empowering citizens and protecting rights and sparking reforms. But they may also cause instability, conflict, or division in the Philippines. Movements like EDSA People Power, anti-pork barrel protests, environmental campaigns, labor rallies, and Pride March show how collective action can transform the society. Before I end this video of my report, I wanna give a inspirational and motivational that can persuade you to do this as part of individuals living in the Philippines. Before I end my report, I wanna give inspirational message to each and every one of you. Mula sa makasaysayang EDSA Revolution hanggang sa mga kilusang sumisimbolo sa ngayon, ipinapakita ng kasaysayan na ang sama-samang pagkilos ang nagpapasiklab sa pagbabago. Ang kapangyarihang hubugin ang mas magandang mundo ay nasa bawat isa sa atin. Hinihintay tayong magkaisa, magsalita at gawing makatotohanan ng ating mga pinagsasaluhang pangarap. Tungo sa isang makatarungang realidad, gawin nating walang hanggang inspirasyon ang paghahangad ng katarungan. Yun lamang po. And thank you very much for listening for my report. Again, my name is Joel Solano and your reporter on social movement. Maraming salamat po. Mabu